Maybe I'll go left. All right, what's going on, everyone? It's Nick and Kyle here. I'm in Bangkok, Thailand. Kyle's in somewhere in England. I forget where you live. Sorry. Where is it, Kyle?
Gloucester, England.
Gloucester, yes. I'm at the Best Western Wonder Grand Hotel, which is hosting the fighters this week. And I've been doing my media day interviews all day today. And was hoping we wouldn't have to do a podcast, but so many crazy things happened. Not one, not two, not three, but four huge fights announced by one today, Kyle. It's just not stopped, has it?
No, I thought when we got obviously I woke up to the big Friday Fights 81 news, those two big fights that were announced, and I was like, wow, that's I maybe expected one of those, but to get both of them on the same day is, wow, that's a big deal. Little did I know that there would be two more big fights announced later on in the day. So yeah, it's been a crazy day. Not to mention fight week anyway. It's not like it was a quiet news week anyway.
Yeah, so I did, I think, something like 17 interviews today, most of the card I spoke to, and just about wrapped up editing and uploading all of those by about 6 p.m. While also, yes, handling those two morning announcements they made, and then, yeah, a couple more ones were thrown in for good measure. We'll get into them all. And we'll also have hopefully a little preview, yes, of Fight Night 24 weigh-ins tomorrow. So we'll run down the card there. But Kyle, how are you doing? All good with you? I thank you
Yeah.
for yes.
Yeah, everything's good. I was just, like you said, it always seems to be Wednesday that they drop this news. I was just, kind of gearing up for Fight Night 24, and I mean, every single weekend at the moment is staying up until the early hours of Sunday morning one for me, because I would have had Fight Night 24 on Friday, and then I'm a big pro wrestling guy, so SummerSlam on Saturday. It's just getting ready for that, and then all this news. So yeah, it's turned out to be a busy week start to finish.
Didn't know you're a pro wrestling guy. That's good to know. I'm a fan myself. Yeah, SummerSlam. I'll be watching it, I think, in the hotel lobby here on Sunday morning before I check out, I believe.
How does it work out timing wise, like US to Thailand?
Uh, I think it starts about 8 a.m. in Hong Kong, and they're an hour ahead. So I guess it'll be 7 a.m. here when it starts. Might be a bit early for me, actually. I like to go and unwind a bit after the events. So probably get to bed quite late on Saturday night. So perhaps I'll catch the replay of SummerSlam, Kyle. But I will obviously be watching live for one Fight Night 24 at the arena. So I'll have you covered, everyone, on Sportskeeda MMA. Keep it tuned. But good to see the usual mob in the chat. What's up, Vegan Crane? Dick is, yo. Combat Sports Today, hello. Just in time for the show and my lunch break. Well, we're honored you're joining us on the lunch break. Combat Sports Today. Anonymous, what's up? Says Rodtang versus Takeru is never happening. Takeru will spend his time at one fighting guys Rodtang is avoiding, and Superlex too busy for. Superbon versus Joe Nattawut is clown booking at its finest. One is Flying Mahmoudi, Danielle Kelly. No, there's an event because they're all fighting this week. I'm in Bangkok for one Fight Night 24. Yes. Yo, guys, enjoyed that Yu Yao interview earlier. What's up, Al? Yes, that was a fun one. My fellow Hong Konger, or I guess she's actually from Hong Kong. I'm not, but I am permanent resident, so I include myself there now. Why so late today, Louis? I'm in Thailand, so I'm an hour back, and I normally do it at 10, which is 9 p.m. here, but I wasn't really ready. I was having dinner earlier, so I just go back to the hotel about 10. Sorry I'm late. Hope it is still early enough for everyone. But yes, we're gonna get into some of these matches. So I don't know where to start, Kyle. What would you say is the biggest of these fights they've announced? Perhaps for me, the craziest one is this. I'm gonna bring it up on screen now. But I want to start with Superbon and Joe Nattawut because I I was not expecting that. You know what I mean? It was a bit crazy to say the least when I saw that. We know that Joe Nattawut is going to fight in Atlanta, or he's supposed to fight in Atlanta, isn't he, against Chawanchai in the trilogy? But what happens now if he gets knocked out or injured? That's what I'm concerned about. But anyway, what's your immediate take, Kyle, on that fight when you saw it?
I mean, I think I replied to your announcement of this. I've done this double
You
booking thing
did.
quite
There
a
it
lot.
is.
This one is the one that makes the least amount of sense to me, I think, of all the double bookings that we've got. Like, you've got a trilogy fight lined up in America. Great fight. I'm sure the American fans are going to love to see that one. It's going to be a competitive fight. We know that already. But the whole narrative of that fight hinges on how close he has come to beating Tawanchai in the past. And then, I some of these double bookings have been like, okay, we're going to get to a big fight. So, like with Superlek and Haggerty, you're like, okay, we're going to do Superlek Kongturani beforehand. And you're like, well, that's a tough fight for Superlek, but he's so good, he should come through. And hopefully there's no injuries. We're talking about Superbon here. Like, this is not a guy you are going to come through without any injuries from. I really don't get it. I'm glad to see that Superbon's fighting, but surely there was somebody else that could have fought Superbon.
Yeah, I feel anyone they could the Thai people will turn up at the stadium and they'll tune in on TV to watch Superbon fight anyone. I feel one could have probably matched him against someone else who wasn't on Atlanta, and it still would have been a good fight for pay-per-view. Uh, am I not? Am I excited about the fight? Yeah, hell yeah! I think it's going to be a great fight. Do I have concerns? Yes, like we're saying about the ramifications potentially for Atlanta. Of course, I do. Yeah, so I'm in two minds on this one, really. But in terms of, are you going to like the fight, Kyle? I think you're probably in the same boat as me, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like it is a really good fight. It's just that I think that he either comes through this, he's gonna have injuries from this fight. They might not be crazy ones, but they're gonna affect his training camp. And there's like I said, this is Superbon. There's a good chance that Joe Nattawut loses this fight, and I think that this is one of the occasions where the double booking hurts the next fight, not only just in terms of Joe's ability to prepare, but also just the stakes that are then involved in that third Tawanchai fight. I think that going straight from the last one into this one, like the fights with Tawanchai, that's what makes that fight big. And this is Superbon we're talking about.
Chester, what's up? Says so many kickboxing matches that could happen instead, and he agrees with you, Kyle. This one is the riskiest combat sports today. Says why not Superbon and Noiri? This match makes no sense, and surprised Joe took this fight before a title shot. Just a Dream in Water says it's a one Lumpinee card, and Joe is huge in Thailand. Thais are crazy about him at draws, I think. Yeah, I'm sure Joe is. We saw the reception he got at the last fight in Impact Arena when he lost to Tawanchai. Crowd weren't happy. They booed Tawanchai heavily. But yeah, do you need a big draw to fill? I think Lumpinee is going to be full either way for the show, with or without Joe Nattawut. It is a smaller stadium. If they were doing this show at Impact again, I would understand throwing Joe on the card with all the risks involved. But it is Lumpinee Stadium. It says there on the box. So, do you think, Kyle, that do you need Joe on this card to fill the arena and to draw a TV rating? Maybe the TV rating is what they're thinking, but I feel they probably could sell out without him, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, even if they are dead set on having Joe on this card, if he's the reason you've put this fight together because he's a big draw for Thailand, he doesn't need to be fighting Superbon, who is like a real threat against him. And not to say that they should give him some guy that he can run through, but it doesn't also need to be like one of the best guys in the world. I don't know. I don't know in terms of the ratings and stuff like that. I feel like if you might not have one of the really big Thai names at the top of this card, but you've got Takeru, who I know that he's not fighting in Japan where the majority of his fan base is, but even just the novelty of seeing Takeru fight in such a small venue and such a, like he's having a kickboxing match at Lumpinee, like I feel like that should make up for that to some degree. But like I said, even if you are dead set on having Joe on this card, I just don't know why it needs to be this one, even though it is a great fight, as we've said. The fight will be fantastic.
Yeah, we'll get into Takeru in a bit, but I suppose my final point on this fight is what if Superbon beats Joe? Then wouldn't you want to put Superbon against Tawanchai in Atlanta? Wouldn't he be the new number one contender? That's something I was thinking about. What do you think, Kyle? Would a win for Superbon, mess? Even if there's no injuries or anything, would that fight be tainted now? If he's coming off a loss into a title fight?
Yeah, it's a difficult one because so many people felt that he won the last fight and at least deserved another crack at Tawanchai. And then, you've got a situation where if Superbon wins, you're like, it's harsh on Joe because he does deserve that next shot at Tawanchai. But if Superbon beats him, like, I feel like that fight, a rematch between Superbon and Tawanchai, was never going to be that far away anyway. If he goes out there and beats Joe Nattawut, who a lot of people thought already beat Tawanchai, like, if that fight wasn't booked already for Atlanta, it would be Superbon Tawanchai next. It has to be. So it's just, I keep coming back to this again and again, but like this is a number one contenders matchup when you already have the number one contender booked to fight for the title. I don't get this one. I'm sure both fights will end up being fantastic, but yeah.
Well, let us know what you think, everyone in the chat. Seems to be mixed opinion, to say the least. Well, yes, John Lineker as well. We'll get into John Lineker in a bit. I just wanted to talk about these Friday fights cards. So, but yes, John Lineker is back also against Asa Tentpole in the Muay Thai fight. So we will get to that, everyone. But yeah, Takeru against Black Panther. This was the first fight announced today, and I have known about this fight for I think at least a couple of weeks, and I wasn't able to report it. It was off record, but I knew Black Panther was the guy that Takeru was going to fight. There were a few other names that were thrown around, I believe, regarding potential opponents for Takeru, but they settled on Black Panther eventually. I mean, a kickboxing fight, Black Panther is obviously very skilled. We've seen what he can do in Muay Thai last month, even head kick KO against Ali Saldoyev. But yeah, Kyle, I think you'd imagine Takeru won't have too much trouble here, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I can understand why they've gone with this fight. Like, I don't think it's a bad choice, especially with Black Panther coming off of that knockout win, which I think definitely helps. Not only just selling this fight, but it makes his record so far in one look a lot better than it did beforehand. Just having that highlight on the record. So I get it. I think it's not too bad. Yeah, it's a decent matchup, and like I said, kind of when we spoke about whether Takeru should be fighting on a Friday fights card or not, if he wants to fight, I'm glad that they have given him the opportunity to do so rather than making him wait for a Japan card to come around, because who knows when that's going to be.
Well, yeah. So there's a lot to unpack because I think we've gone from potentially having Rodtang versus Takeru in Japan in September on this date to now Rodtang's fighting in Atlanta. Takeru's on this card still, but it's in not even in Japan, it's in Thailand. And I think you could tell this was the day that was earmarked for Japan because they did a press conference, I believe, in Japan with Takeru, and Hiroki Akimoto was also there to announce their fights. And if you haven't seen already, yes, Hiroki there is fighting Ilias Ennahachi, two former kickboxing champions in one. That should be a good fight. We'll get to that in a minute as well. But it seems like they're making a big push of this show in Japan, and I'd expect more Japanese fighters to be on this card than usual, even though they always have a few Japanese fighters now on each card on Fridays, especially. So I think, yeah, this show looks like it was probably earmarked for Tokyo, similar to a couple of years back when there was supposed to be a show in Tokyo and then it ended up having to be moved to Singapore because of COVID stuff. But half of the card was all Japanese fighters, and I think this is a similar case. So yeah, we've gone from Rodtang with Takeru to this, and like you say, Carl, I'm happy Takeru is still going to be active and getting a fight, but I just don't know what's going on with him and Rodtang. I thought the plan was to have Takeru and Rodtang fight still in Japan, maybe in January, whatever. But now Rodtang's on in November. It looks like I don't think their schedules are going to match up. Is this going to be one of those fights that just slips through the net again, Kyle? Do you think? And maybe Takeru's going to have to fight someone else in Japan. Rodtang's going to move on and fight someone else. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm still quite hopeful that we'll get it sometime early next year. Like you said, schedules might not line up perfectly. Takeru might have to wait a little bit longer because Rodtang's booked for November. So, probably looking at maybe late February at the earliest for Rodtang to fight Takeru, depending on how the Jacob Smith fight goes, of course. So I still have hope that it will happen. It did always seem like it was going to be a nightmare to get through those couple of months where you had the two US events and then Japan in the middle, and then you need to have, obviously this was even going back before the Stamp injury, it was like, well, you're going to need Stamp or Rodtang probably on those US cards, and you've also got you need Rodtang for that Japan event. Because I think if you did Takeru back in Japan, he would sell a lot of tickets fighting anybody. But if you're going to go back to Japan, you got to do the Rodtang fight. That's what people want to see. So it always seemed like it was going to be a nightmare, trying to schedule everything and make everyone happy and stuff. So I'm still hopeful. I'm still hopeful we get it next year, and that this has just been a crazy scheduling period, and hopefully it'll all work itself out.
Yeah, I just don't know the sense of fighting Takeru in Thailand at Lumpinee when I think you could put him against a lot of people and they'd probably sell out Ariake Arena or somewhere else in Japan. And would make a good chunk of change doing it. There would be a high gate. Takeru was incredibly popular in Japan, and we saw that in January with Super Leg fight. I feel they're leaving a lot of money on the table with this, and Takeru's purse is pretty big, so I'm a bit baffled. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see it, of course. Yeah, and I'm happy Takeru's back and staying active. Just I wouldn't, yeah, I wouldn't put him on outside of Japan, but we're here and that's it. I'm still going to enjoy the fight. Chester says, I wish they could have made Superbon and Chingers. Oh, I don't know what's going on with Chingers Alzov. I don't think he's back anytime soon, guys. God, a lot of comments here. People don't seem to be too happy with this. Yeah, if Combat Sports say if Joe loses and still has a title shot, one goes into Atlanta with two title fights with two challenges coming off losses, Joe and Smith. Actually, never mind. Joe was coming off a loss anyways. Yes. Well, Joe would be coming off, I think, 3 losses if he loses this one. And no matter what you say, how close those fights were, and even if he pushed Superbon all the way, yeah, do I want to see a guy 0-3 in his last 3 challenge for a title? It's a bit of a tough sell, but it is Joe, and we do know he is going to be entertaining, win or lose, whatever his record says. So yeah, it's just small technical things. So I don't know, but look, we're here. We can't change it now. I'm just going to enjoy these fights in this card. So it does look like it's going to be an incredible card, Kyle. I'm sure I've heard of a couple more fights for this that I can't really talk about, but they would also fit the bill of being big attractions, I feel, both locally and globally. But one we do know about is, yes, Hiroki Akimoto and Ilias Ennahachi. So I don't know if you're as hyped for this one as I am, Kyle, because I love both of these guys. But yeah, do you like this fight?
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about this a little bit on the last one of these that we did. I had the four kind of contenders right now in this division in a little bracket. I had the bracket the wrong way around because I wanted to see the Wei Ray Akimoto rematch and then Elias come back against Pettenong. But as we said then, any of those four guys fighting each other is the way to go for this division. So we've got those. Maybe we'll see Wei Ray Pettenong. That would be cool to see as well, as a little kind of tournament to decide who comes out as the number one contender. But yeah, perfect. I mean, former champions. Excited to see Ennahachi back, as we spoke about last time. Like, he adds quality to this division and mixes it up with those other three guys in so many interesting ways, so many interesting matchups just out of that little 4-man bracket there. So yeah, hopefully excited to kick off an unofficial bantamweight kickboxing Grand Prix here for the number one contender.
Yes. Well, shout out to Chester as well. He pitched this mini Grand Prix thing, I believe, which we were talking about last week. He put the seed, he planted the seed. Yes, so hopefully, yeah, we maybe get Pettenong and Wei Ray on this. I think that would be pretty cool to have that. Yeah, why not? It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. But I like this fight. Yes, Hiroki. I'm glad he's not being forced to sit out for another year and a half. A nice, fairly quick turnaround for him, and it looks like they've backed away from that immediate rematch though with Wei Ray, which I suppose I'm fine with because yeah, if your judges make the call that Wei Ray beat Hiroki, you've got to stand by your judges, and instead of running it back, I think they can move forward, and perhaps if Hiroki beats Ilias, and then the winner of this one, yes, can fight the winner of a theoretical matchup with Pettenong and Wei Ray. So either way, I feel Hiroki he's got a chance now to get some justice, by winning this fight. He might get that rematch with Wei Ray. So happy. I would probably be sticking an interim title on the line in this mini Grand Prix if we are doing it, or because I just don't feel Haggerty is going to be defending that belt anytime soon, Kyle. Right? Because he's fighting in Denver in September. Probably wouldn't see Haggerty get back in the ring till early 2025 at the earliest, and who knows what will happen if he's still got the Muay Thai belt. You imagine Nico Carrillo will be banging on the door for the next title shot. So, do you think an interim belt makes sense in this division, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, I think especially if Hiroki comes through this and we do end up getting a Japan card at the start of next year with Rodtang and Takeru, you got to put Hiroki on that card, and whether it's an interim fight or whether somehow Haggerty ends up defending the belt there, like you said, I think it has to be Nico Carrillo next for Haggerty if he gets past Superlex. So I don't think he's going to defend that kickboxing belt for at least another 6 months probably. So if this little tournament does end up playing out and you can do an interim title fight between the winners of these two little first round matchups, then that would be perfect. Like I said, it's like a little unofficial Grand Prix.
Yeah. Pampayak. A few people asking about Pampayak this week. I see he posted a video of himself training, and it looks like he's in shape, and he's talking about going to flyweight or something. I can't remember what he was saying. Moving up or down? Not sure, because he is at flyweight already, isn't he? Anyone knows? Please put it in the chat. But yeah, I'm not sure if I haven't heard anything about him coming back in one. So I'll try and ask Chatri next time I speak to Chatri or see him. I'm not sure if he's here in Bangkok this week. But yeah, that was the tentpole announcements, and then as we were saying, the other big fight announcements is another fight for Denver. I'd imagine, Kyle, they've finally filled this card out. It looks pretty full now. Although I would expect, yes, I do, despite having Stamp still on the top of the bill, that fight's probably not happening. When I say probably, I mean almost definitely, because Stamp is barely walking yet from her surgery. So I wouldn't be surprised if they replaced that with something big. I did think Rodtang was going to land on this card. Perhaps, not as the main event. Maybe they would keep Haggerty's Superlek as the new main event, but have Rodtang as a co-main fighting someone. But it looks like it didn't come through. There were some rumors Rodtang would be on this show. Currently looks like he's on Atlanta officially. So, but yeah, we have got now John Lineker against Asa Tentpole, bantamweight Muay Thai. Reactions to this, Kyle?
I don't know. I don't really know what to make of this. I mean, it feels like this has been John Lineker stepping into Muay Thai. I feel like this has been going on for ages at this point. The idea of this happening. I don't know whether he's going to be, how successful he's going to be. I mean, John Lineker, I've been watching John Lineker for a long time, and I don't know if I've seen him shoot a takedown. I could probably count the amount of times I've seen him shoot a takedown on one hand. So I've seen him strike a lot of times. He'll now just be doing it in Muay Thai rules instead. I guess it's like, it seems like every one of these big cards, whether it be the One Fight Night 10 or 1167 or the Japan card, they always seem to have this like kind of attraction that's like, this might not be great, but it's probably going to interest some people. And seeing John Lineker, who is a very exciting striker, compete in Muay Thai, it's kind of the one that, yeah, I'm like, we'll see how that goes. I'm interested to see whether it works out.
Yeah, I'm happy for Asa Tentpole as well, and I'm happy John Lineker's got a fight. They've been trying to find John Lineker someone to fight in a crazy crossover thing for at least 8 months now. I feel it was originally supposed to be Liam Harrison, right, in January, and then there was talk of Hiroki Akimoto in a mixed rules thing in Tokyo. Then there was, I even heard they were looking at him and Nico Carrillo for Atlanta, and a few people have told me that, and I'm sure there were others I'm forgetting. He was lined up to face. I sort of heard some rumors of Rodtang as well, and I thought that would make sense for Denver or Atlanta, because John Lineker is a big name in US MMA circles, and I think it's a smart move to get him on this card. Either way, because I do think he's gonna sell some tickets and put some asses in seats. I'm not sure, if it's the right opponent. I feel he could actually lose this pretty handily. Asa Tentpole is a badass, and in on paper, John Lineker should not be able to live with Asa Tentpole's striking, and that is just paper. And we do know John Lineker has the dim mark, whatever it is, the death touch. He can put your lights out with one punch, and that's always the danger. But I think Asa should have too much for him, to be honest. And it may be an easy win for Asa. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I would have loved to seen John and Rodtang. I think that was a really cool idea, because that would have a lot more intrigue, I think. And I don't think it'd be as big as Rodtang versus DJ, but it would probably still be good enough for a co-main event on this card. But here we are. I'm not unhappy with it. I think looking at that card, Kyle, are you happy with Denver overall? A lot of prospects. You know what I mean? Zanshar, Adrian Lee, Johan Ghazali. I think Johan as well. They're looking to get. Seems to me like yeah. I mean, Sean also had a good performance last time, but I feel Estupinan is a future star for them. Maurice, I'm quite high on Maurice. I don't know this other dude. At least in Victoria, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not too excited for that, but I do like both. And Ongla, I always love seeing Ongla. Hiroyuki and Issy Fiti could potentially determine a welterweight challenger for Christian Lee. You don't know. Lineker v. Asa, Liam versus Sexan, good veteran battle there. Cade, Mikey, super match, whatever you want to call it. Haggerty Super Leg, of course, I'm down for that. Overall thoughts, Kyle? If that is the final Denver card, what do you think?
I think it's a lot of the names I expected to be on this card. It's a lot of kind of level of fights that I expected to be on this card. You know, a lot of what I mean by that's like a lot of the names, they're not, most of them aren't in fights where I'm like, oh, that's a really tough one for that person. They're ones where I think they should come through. But again, that might be because some of the people on this card are people that I've watched a lot of time in one championship, and their opponents not so much. So I think that the only thing is, and obviously it had this with Stamp, so it's an unfortunate circumstance. I just don't know if there's anything, if there's one fight on here that is going to really grab the American audience, like you said. I think Rodtang versus John Lineker would have done that. I think it definitely would have done that. Stamp again got a crazy good reaction last time. Does really well on social media, so I'm sure she would have brought a lot of interest. I just don't know if there's that one. If I was talking to an American fan and I said, "Are you going to tune in this weekend?" You know, unless they know a bit about striking, so I could say, look, Jonathan Haggerty and Superlek is unbelievable, or you know, on the rare occasion that they're a big one championship submission grappling fan, I can sell them that way. But I just don't know if there's that one draw that is going to really bring the eyes of the US combat sports media to Denver. I'm sure they'll do. I'm sure the event will do well, and I do like the card. I just don't. That's the only thing that concerns me, really.
Yeah, I'm sort of with you. I think it might be missing, just that one secret ingredient, that killer ingredient, that big name. I do think you need a Stamp, a Rodtang, or a DJ on any American card. I'm not sure they have another name in that is kind of their top tier, the S tier, whatever you want to call it, the Elite One Championship superstars in America. As far as American audiences are going, I think people will pay money the most to see those three fighters. If Stamp's injured, I think you've got to find a way. And if DJ is retired or whatever, not fighting, you've got to find a way to keep Rodtang on here. So never say never. It may happen.
Maybe,
but as of now, no. Yeah,
I think there's two names that probably would have bolstered this card up a little bit in terms of US interest, who are definitely not going to be fighting for a while. But you would imagine that Renya Derrida or Sage Northcutt would have been good picks for this card. And again, like the Stamp thing hasn't worked out for whatever reason, but I feel like those two names would generate some interest in the US for sure.
Yeah, especially I think Sage, but I don't think Sage will ever fight him one again. After what happened in Tokyo, I do think Lineker is still a big name in America. So they got him on the card. It's positive either way. But yeah, that is it, guys, for the new fights. Let us know what you think. Someone is asking in the chat about Asa Tempao RMT is saying, is Asa still fighting in MMA? He was scheduled for MMA versus a Filipino. No, that got cancelled, and so the Filipino guy Carlo Bumina is on the card this week in Thailand. He's going to be fighting. Oh, I've already forgotten. Jesus. Let's get to it. Yeah, it's on the tip of my tongue. So many cards flying around at the moment. I'm forgetting matchups, but this is the card. We will time to preview it. Yeah, he's going to fight Enk Orgil Bartaku out of Mongolia, who has become something of the Team Lakai killer. He's beaten two of Carlo's teammates in one championship already. Adonis Severino and the boss man's son, Janlo Sanjel, as well. So Carlo, I'm sure, if he needed any more motivation, yes, to avenge his fallen teammates. So yes, that fight, yeah, Asa no longer in MMA. It is Muay Thai. But we will get to this card in a minute. I'll just do some comments. Seems kind of late to book anything else, says Chester. I think this is for Denver. I could have used one more big name. What do you think is going to be title fight for Lumpinee tentpole? Ask Dark Side. That's a good question, Kyle. Have you got any ideas? I was thinking about that. I feel like that maybe there won't be one just because you got enough big names on it to not have one. Do you think that is the case?
Yeah, I would imagine so. The only one that I can think of that seems in the realm of possibility would be Prajanchai defending one of his belts, whether it's a DeBella rematch or whether it's a Muay Thai title defense. But that's the only person I can think of that realistically would be available or like seems like they would be. So yeah, I don't think there'll be one. Otherwise, I don't think they would have put Superbon and Joe on that card.
Well, yeah, they could do Prajanchai and DiBella rematch, but I think DiBella and his team are hoping to get on the Atlanta card in November. I think that is their dream. They want that rematch. Could be that card is too stacked. It's already got 4 title fights. I would still like to see that. I mean, do you think that would help with Atlanta as well, Carl?
I mean, it's certainly another. It's at this point. I don't know how many people. I'm sure DeBella would bring some fans over, but I'm not sure how many people are gonna buy a ticket that weren't going to until that fight gets added. But in terms of people watching, that might boost some pay-per-views and things like that. And in terms of the viewing experience, I'm really excited to see that rematch after the way that first one went. So it would definitely be, one of the ones I'd be most excited to watch on there. So I'm sure striking fans will be well into having that one on there as well.
Yeah, I think in terms of the title fight for the September Lumpinee, Pet Gija is a good shout. I have actually heard of a potential fight, involving her on this card, and it's not what you think it would be. Even yes, Pet Gija versus Alicia Rodriguez would be a great fight, Darkside, but that's not what I'm hearing. What I'm hearing is quite interesting, but not official by any means. So I don't want to say anything yet. But I think that potentially you could see Perdija defend one of her titles, or what is she now? She's only got she unified the kickboxing, was it?
belt, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you could.
Feels
do
like it's
her
been
and
so
Alicia,
long.
right?
Since we last spoke about it, I completely didn't even think about her being an option. But yeah, I would love to see her back as soon as possible. But just it's like out of sight, out of mind with her.
Yeah, and Mexican versus Buntan was obviously booked for last month's card, and it fell through. So that is out there. Could be one to put on. Panpayak Rodtang Look Krung asks, or perhaps forlornly says, out of hope. Yes. Copium, indeed. Not sure that'll happen. I think they asked me a question earlier I thought would be Yeah. So what happens if Superbon just straight up KOs, injures Joe? What then? Well, yeah, we sort of touched on it earlier, but it would definitely throw a spanner in the works for Atlanta. But I think one would have options, and also they've got 3 other title fights on that card at the moment, so we wouldn't totally ruin the card by any means, but you would be losing probably the best the best of those title fights in terms of like, technical ability and matchup wise. I think it's the most competitive match. I think Anatoly will be the favorite for the Rug fight, and Christian Lee will be a heavy favorite against Ali Beg Rasulov, and I think Rodtang obviously a heavy favorite against Jacob Smith, but Tawanchai and Joe seems a bit more uncertain. So would be a shame to lose that fight. Just we gotta hope, yeah, Joe doesn't get caught with the Superbon kick, the head kick. But Superbon will be throwing that thing over and over again. CFR Network, what's up? Says good day all. Good day to you too, sir. Dark Side, is Pampire getting released from pain soon? Everything feels like he's coming back. I don't know. Yeah, I honestly don't know about Pampire. Released from jail. Sorry, not pain. I'm sure it is pain too. Sure, he is in pain emotionally. He's Look, Krung says he's 100% fighting somewhere. We just don't know where. LOL. Pampire is on the same level as Superlek. It's weird one not use him. RMT says. Yeah, Kyle, what do you think? Do you think it makes no sense? I mean, to me, it makes no sense. You wouldn't use Pampire if you have him in one championship, given his ability. Unless he's pissed off people behind the scenes. Do you find it a bit remarkable he's not being booked?
Yeah, I mean the fact that there hasn't really been an update for so long, and yet you get asked about it every single week, I think says it all, right? Everyone wants to see him because everyone knows how good he is. You'd hope that things like this, after a little bit of time, get resolved. They tend to, like with all the other people where you think, oh, that person's probably not going to be fighting for a while. It tends to resolve itself after a long period of time, but it does seem to eventually get resolved in some way. But yeah, this one, I don't know. I have no answer for it. I'm sure same boat as you with that one.
Louis says, what if Jonathan Haggerty is unable to defend his title? Do you think they can get away with having Mikey and Cade as the main event? I was actually talking to people today, and I didn't realize how few Americans there actually are on the Denver card, and 2 of them, the biggest fight involving any Americans is actually this grappling. So in terms of MMA, you got Elise Anderson, I guess, and Adrian Lee is a lot lower down. Asa Tempao is American, but there aren't. I guess Ong La, would you call him American? I don't know, more Burmese, but Elise Anderson, yeah. Sean Clamaco, obviously. It's just not really any huge, big American stars on here in terms of MMA or striking. So yeah, if that's the main event, if there's something was to happen to Haggerty and Superlek, that would have to be your main event. And I think the people will still dig it, they'll still be into it. But I think at this point you need to really be doing a rain. You're going to be praying to the gods that like Haggerty and Superlek, nothing happens there because this card I think really needs it to stay together. What's wrong with Chinga's RMT? Nothing wrong. I just think he's having some sort of contract dispute or whatever with one, and perhaps doesn't want to come back. I have no idea on the. I don't know anything personally. Chester says, I don't know if booking more title fights is a good idea for Atlanta. Too many title fights can drag on if they go to decisions. Correct, yes. But I mean, at least the striking ones would be 3-minute round, instead of 5, and there'll be high action. I feel not a lot of, obviously, no no grappling or anything, no ground stuff. It will all be on the feet. So I don't think, the Tawanchai Joe fight would drag, or Rodtang Smith. So I think even if you did have a fifth title fight, and it would probably be another striking title fight, like a potentially Prajanchai, John Dubella, that would also be high octane, I imagine. And even if it goes 15 minutes, it's still not too long. So I get your point, yeah, but I think I wouldn't mind another one. Why not? One hasn't really used Takeru either since they signed him. LOL, Dickers says. Any update on RDR still with one CFR network? Well, obviously he fought in UAE Warriors on Friday, or no, Saturday, whatever. He got a first round TKO, I believe. So if he's still under contract with one, either one has allowed him to do it, or he's breaching his contract. Kyle, it's one of the two, isn't it? Were you surprised to see Derrida go through with the fight?
Yeah, really, really surprised. I almost, I almost couldn't believe it. Even though we spoke on the last episode about seeing the photos of him already out there a couple of days before the event and stuff, and I was like, wait, it's actually real. It's gonna happen. And then seeing the clip of it, and watching the fight afterwards, yeah, just I don't know. It all feels very strange. I hope that we get some kind of like permanent clarification on what's happening, so that it isn't just speculation for ages. But yeah, it was surprising to say the least.
It was, yeah. Well, either way, I'm a big fan of Renata Ritter, and if he's no longer in one championship, that's very sad because I'd love to see him fight. But if he is, I just want to see him fight. So I'm happy for him if he's staying active and getting fights elsewhere. And I'm personally, I would call him loosely even a friend. I love the guy, so I hope for the best for him. Well, we'll have a quick look at this card then, which is coming up on Saturday morning here in Bangkok. Am I on the right page? Yeah, I think so. All right. Yeah, Jared Brooks versus Gustavo Balat, Kyle, in the main event. Interim strawweight MMA title. I imagine most people probably expect Jared to win. Do you think Gustavo could pull off a shock here?
I still think Jared. Yeah, I still think Jared's going to win, but it is an interesting one because Gustavo is. I know that Jared wasn't able to consistently have success with his grappling against Joshua in their first meeting, but Gustavo's wrestling background is as legit as it gets, and so if he can't take Gustavo down, I know that his striking has looked better with every fight, and he was able to show that in the first fight with Pasio quite a lot. But if he has to strike with Gustavo, it's not ideal with the power that he has. And if Gustavo can keep it on the feet, then it could get interesting. I think it's one of the harder matchups for Jared, probably outside of Pasio, probably the hardest matchup for him at strawweight right now. So I'm interested to see this one because we haven't seen it before, and I'm glad that there is an interim title being put together, because I know that I'm sure that the Pasio versus Brooks 3 is a big deal, and obviously it's kind of a risk to put Jared up against somebody like Gustavo, who's got momentum behind him and is quite a tough style matchup for him. So I'm just happy to see that the fight is happening, and yeah, I am excited for this one, even though I expect Jared to win.
Yeah, check out my interview with Jared on the. I tried to speak to Gustavo, and he turned up for our interview, and then became a bit self-conscious that his English wasn't good enough, even though we did an interview in Tokyo after his last fight, and but he said, "Oh, it was just because I was drunk," and he kind of had some Dutch courage, so he felt a bit embarrassed about his English. So we didn't do one, but I'll see if I can grab him after the face-offs or something, get him to scream into the camera, something. Co-main, Daniel Kelly, Maisa Bastos, reliably informed Bastos is a 9-4 underdog or something like that, which seems pretty wide. but I'm still expecting Daniel to win. Kyle, yourself?
I'm surprised that Bastos is the underdog. Like I know that Danielle Kelly, this was a big deal in the Jessica match, that maybe she doesn't have the accolades to show how good she actually is. Like, there's obviously a lot of people out there that have won a lot more in terms of their trophy cabinet, but she does tend to, compete at the same level as them, even if she doesn't have the same kind of trophy cabinet to back it up. But Maestro Bastos has won like nearly everything that you can win, and has beaten a lot of the top people in her weight class. So I expected her to come in as a quite a big favorite, actually. So I'm interested to see how this one goes, because like I said, I think Danielle Kelly's pretty good at raising her game to her opponents, like she did against Jessica. So I'm interested. I enjoy these submission grappling matchups when there's actual stakes, and it feels to me like this one has actual stakes because Bastos is super legit.
Yeah. Well, I'm intrigued. I didn't realize. I saw Bastos. I think it was her debut last fight. I wasn't aware how good she is. So thanks for filling me in, Kyle. That's an interesting one. Let's go. Just gonna breeze through this card, and then we can do some comments, maybe a couple questions. Felipe Lobo and Nabil. Well, this is an interesting one. Yeah. Stood next to Nabil today. Interviewed him. That guy is tall, to say the least. Also surprised, yeah, I didn't know his English is very, very good. He's almost fluent in it, and I think Kyle, potentially Nabil could be a superstar for one championship, not just in Thailand. I think he could be a very useful to have a Thai star who can speak fluent English is a very big thing for the American audience and stuff like that. So I feel they see dollar signs in Nabil, and this is a a test, isn't it, to see where he's at? Can he knock off number 3 ranked former title challenger, 2-time title challenger Felipe Lobo? What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, I think that this is probably the one I'm most excited to see on this card. I just feel like not only is it, like you said, this is the real deal now for Nabil. If he can beat Felipe Lobo, then you're talking title shots, or at least title picture. And with Felipe Lobo, you've kind of got a nightmare style matchup for him. Like when you look at what Lobo was able to do in his fight with Haggerty, where he hurt him to the body, and it's that's what people are going to target with Nabil, because he is so tall. So if he can get past Felipe Lobo, then it's not just that he could be a potential big star for them. You're looking at a guy that is going to be a star at some point, just because if he can beat a guy like Felipe Lobo at this point in his career, he's going to be a serious force in a couple more years, and he already is.
Yeah, interestingly, another takeaway from my interview with Nabil, he said, I said, do you see your future at featherweight? And he said, well, actually, I do, but also at lightweight. So he's looking at another 2 weight jumps by in the next 2 or 3 years. He said so he could, theoretically, yeah, clean out this division, then go up, then up again. That would be incredible if he could, win. We've seen fighters win titles in, well, not, Malachi obviously has 3, but those divisions aren't very deep. But I think one's bantamweight, featherweight, and lightweight Muay Thai divisions are, deep enough, especially bantam and feather. That would be a pretty incredible achievement if Nabil could do that. But this is let's not get carried away. Let's see what he can do against Lobo. I think Lobo is perfect challenger for him, and Lobo will be looking to spoil the party for sure. Dead Wang Lek and Necrobe. This is a good one, Kyle. I think could steal the show. They have fought before on One Friday Fights, and Necrobe got that one. I think it was a 3rd round TKO. KO. Let me double check. But are you excited for this one, Kyle?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of this card which is just like a really, really good Friday Fights card. And with a couple of MMA fights thrown in, and then the submission grappling in the co-main. So, and that one is the perfect example of that, because I'd watched these two guys fight. You could put one every Friday, and I'm going to tune in. So the fact that they're doing it again, and they didn't fight for the first time that long ago, I'm happy. I'm happy to see them run it back so soon.
Yeah, should be good. Shamil Gasanov and Aaron Kanyate, featherweight MMA. Kanate debuted last summer and kind of got blown away by Akbar Abdullayev, which, is Abdullayev's been smoking everyone, so nothing to be ashamed of. I think Kanate's kind of moved out here now. He was living in Mexico at the time. He's committed to living out in Thailand. He's training at Phuket Fight Club, I think, since November. So I'm expecting to see a much improved version of him. And yeah, before the Akbar loss, he was undefeated in MMA. So this would be a good test to see. Yeah, we didn't really learn much about him from that fight. It was over in about a minute. So I'm excited to see. I'm intrigued to see what he can do against Shamil, who is, a top 5 contender in this division, I believe still. And yeah, I don't think Shamil is too far away from a title shot either. So good matchup, Kyle. I like this. Do you?
Yeah. Like you said, I'm interested to see what Kanate is able to bring to the table, because Shamil is a tough fight to get. When you weren't really able to show much on your debut, and then it's like, well, here's Shamil. That's tough. So interested to see how well he does. And like you said, Shamil probably one win here, and then you're probably looking at another top contender for him to potentially face off with, potentially Abdullayev, like you said, because you'd imagine Gary Tonin will be next to challenge Tankai. So I personally think Abdullayev and Tonin are almost neck and neck, just with how good Abdullayev has looked in his recent fights. But Shamil can put himself into that mix and probably get a title eliminator fight or something of that magnitude if he gets a win here.
Oh yes, I agree with you. It's an exciting division, isn't it? Featherweight MMA. It always has been. I think you still got some of the old names kicking about. Martin Nguyen and Tan Lee is never too far away. So I love this division. There's plenty of, and now some new blood coming in as well. Dmitry Kovtun against Ferrari Fairtex. Well, yeah, so Ferrari was originally going to fight Nabil, Lobo, and they switched him out for Nabil. Glad he's still on the card. Don't know much about Dmitry Kovtun, but I do know he's training at Sitsong Pinong with our friend Tristan. So, yeah, I'll be keeping a keen eye on this. Do you know much about Kovtun, Kyle?
No, I don't. With the way that this card got shuffled around and stuff, it was confusing to keep track of, to be honest. So I'm excited to see what he's capable of, because yeah, I mean, coming in and taking on Ferrari straight off the bat is, talk about thankless tasks.
Yeah, I'm glad yes, Ferrari is still here. Taiki Naito and Elias Mahmoudi, a flyweight kickboxing fight. Yeah, I'm excited for this. Elias was matched up with Superlek for January in a title fight, and then that fell through when they moved Superlek over to fight Takeru. I asked Mahmoudi, yeah, if you win this, would you like to face Superlek next? But he said, oh well, Superlek's moving up. I said, well, he's still going to have the belt in your division. But Mahmoudi said he'd rather fight Rodtang, so he wants to do Muay Thai. I don't know, yeah, what is best for Mahmoudi, but he's an intriguing guy. He looked really good from every time I've seen him, and he kind of really smashed Edgar Tavares, our buddy, even quicker than Rodtang did. So I like the look of him. Kyle, what do you think? Taiki can do anything here to stop him?
I'd expect Elias to come through. Like you said, I think that there's probably still more to come from him, and it was, like you said, it was a little bit of just unfortunate timing that he didn't end up getting that fight against Superlek. So I hope that he's able to kind of get, Superlek is a hard fight to match, but a fight of that magnitude, if he is able to come through, because he does deserve it after having that opportunity, get away from him in such unfortunate and strange circumstances. It's not every day that you expect your title fight to disappear like that. So
Yeah, I'm with you. Keito Yamakita and Yosuke Saruta, strawweight MMA. I'm not too hype on this one. I think Saruta. I do enjoy Saruta. Yeah. Kato has not really set the one on fire for me. He's been a bit hit and miss. All Japanese fight. Are you into this one? I think this would be one I could sort of take or leave on this card.
yeah, I think I'm more interested maybe in the outcome than I am of expecting it to be a particularly interesting fight. I thought that Kaito Yamakita's submission that he got last time out over Jeremy Miyado was fantastic. So I think, yeah, the performance he had, I believe it was in Japan where he lost. I think that was his second fight in the promotion. He didn't look great against Massanyane. So I'm interested to see if he's able to get past Saruta and potentially make a push a bit further on in this division, because I thought that his performance against Miyado last time was very impressive.
Yes, Saruta, obviously the former champion here, and has shared the belt with Joshua Pasio back and forth. They had a entertaining trilogy. But he's 0-3 in his last 3 fights. Coming off 3 losses. Yeah, Pasio, Balat, Malakiev, all the kind of younger. Well, I don't think Balat's that young. Balat was telling me, I always forget, he was at the London Olympics. Yeah. So he was reminiscing about his time in London to me today. But yeah, Pasio obviously still young. Malakiev is one of the up and coming people in his division. I think, yeah, this is, like you say, Carl. We'll see if he still got it, if he can hang with the young guys. But I think getting a 4th loss in a row for Saruta probably won't see him back in one. After that, I don't know what his contract's like, but he's just turned 37, I think, or is about to turn 38. So could be nearing the end of his time in one. But we'll see. Maybe he'll surprise us all on Saturday. Rambolek and Craig Coakley. This should be fun. I like Craig, and I like Rambolek was obviously one of the first names to get the contract on Friday fights. It hasn't really worked out for him since. I think he's had a couple of losses. He lost in pretty bad fashion to Asa Tenpao, who had a broken arm, but still, I think, head kick KO'd him, something like that, in Singapore last year. I think he also lost a Friday fight, tentpole fight. Is that right? Yeah, to Faria Aminapur. Rest in peace. I think that was meant to be his first of his 6-fight contract. He has beaten Stunner Sten since then, again on Friday fights 51. So two of his 3 fights have come on Friday shows. So this is a return to Prime Video for him against Craig Coakley, who I like the look of. Didn't go his way last time, but I think quite exciting. Seems to have a lot of energy and personality. What do you think, Carl? Are you clued up on these guys? I'm sure you know Rambolek, but yeah, what do you think of Craig?
Yeah, I'm interested to see how he gets on. I mean, just from, I know a lot of fighters that know Craig or have trained with him, and like you say, didn't really get to showcase a whole lot last time out, so where he got stopped in the first round. So excited to see how he does against Rambolek, who, like you said, we've seen compete quite a few times now and earn himself a contract, so we kind of know roughly where he's at right now. So interested to see how Craig's able to do against him because the debut didn't go his way.
Yeah, it was beaten by Sewer Black. No shame in that. Let's see what Craig's made of. He's an interesting character, to say the least. I struggle to understand. I normally am pretty good at understanding Irish accent. He's a very thick Irish accent. I was trying to decipher what he was saying in our interview, so hopefully I understood him correctly. Enk, Orgil, Bataku, and Carlo Vamina Ang. We talked about this a little bit already, but Carlo, yes, the new blood for Team Lekai. EO has knocked off a couple of his teammates. Should be a fun scrap, Kyle. Bantamweight MMA.
Yeah, feels like this bantamweight division could probably do with being a little bit more active at the top end. So, yeah, I mean, and these guys have beaten some good guys between them. So, interested to see this one actually.
Leaf and Zakaria. This was going to be a Leaf versus Tong Poon, but Tong Poon is ill, had the flu, so Zakaria stepped in on short notice, but Zakaria was not exactly in perfect fight shape. He's a bit heavy, so they've made it a catch weight 128. So you imagine Alif won't have any issues making weight. He missed weight last time for the LS Barboza fight. He's pretty fired up, Kyle, after that fight, which was very, very, I mean, one of the closest things you could ever see, 28-28 across all three scorecards. And then it was a split for Ellis based on the knockdown in the second round. But what do you think is going to happen here?
I would expect a Leaf to come through. Not that I have been, the win that Zakaria got last time out over Tom Poon. Like in terms of a replacement matchup, the guy that beat the guy that you were supposed to fight is about as good as you can get. So I'm glad that they were able to put this one together and keep a Leaf on the card. Excited to see how a Leaf looks fighting so soon after that Ellis fight, because that was a tough one. Even though Ellis got the win, it was back and forth the whole time. So yeah, excited to see him back out so soon. Fair play to him, because this isn't a walk in the park either. So
yeah, ego kind. I'm using this directional mic. I don't know if it's picking up sound or anything, but if you need a visual of the microphone, I'll kind of creep it into frame there. Hopefully, it's picking up my voice. I can't actually hear it on these things. I need to perfect my Rode setup. I never normally do podcasts in fight week. I'm usually too busy, but I feel like we had to do one today with all the news, and I'll try and make it a regular thing on Wednesdays out here. It gets a little hairy on Thursday night, and with the weigh-ins. Maybe you could do a weigh-ins recap if I've got time. And you lovely people want some of that content. We could maybe do that. I could do tomorrow. Yes, I am in Thailand though. One more fight quickly. YYP, my homegirl from Hong Kong, against Amy Perney. Don't know much about Amy. I hear she's got some pedigree, but Kyle, she's been out for 3 years, I think, and coming back against Yu Yao Pui is going to be a tall order, right? She's been destroying everyone in her path.
yeah, the layoff for Amy Perney is the concerning thing, right? Like, she was on a really long winning streak. Again, didn't know too much about her when this fight got put together, but by the sounds of things, was doing very well, and then took some time off. I'm not entirely sure why she was out for so long, but yeah, I mean, super tough to come into the promotion and take on Yu Yao Pui in your first fight. So I'm excited to see how competitive this one is, because I don't really know what we can expect from Amy Perney. You know what you can expect from Yu Yao Pui, and that alone is enough to tune in for the very first fight.
All right. Just a bit muffled. I cannot hear it. I'm sorry if it's blurry or anything. I did a quick mic check with Kyle. He told me it was fine. So hopefully it's audible at least. Yes, I'll make sure I've got some a bit more of a proper setup next event. That is the card, guys. Not going to hang around too long because I'm pretty tired. I've been going now for about 14 hours straight. Started my interviews at 10 a.m. here. It's now nearly midnight, so I haven't really stopped, other than dinner briefly. But I was still doing some stuff on the laptop during dinner, such as putting those fights out. The incessant fight news that kept breaking. Pony's legit, Flaming Mo says, and has beaten a lot of good fighters. Last win was against Lara Fernandez, but in my opinion, Lara should have got that decision. Well, yeah, it seems like she's at that level then, where we'll see. I'm excited to see how Yu Yaopui does, and I do obviously have a soft spot for my fellow special administrative region citizen. MT says, I'm just upset with Takeru and Rodtang matchups. One gained momentum with Friday fights and the Prime deal, but they're losing me with the squash matches. This isn't boxing or WWE. Yeah, I suppose that's a good place to kind of come back to here at the end. This is what it's all about. Kyle, Rodtang, Takeru. I feel we're further away than ever from seeing this fight now. Just, I don't know what's going on anymore. I felt like there was a clear plan, have both guys fight in September and then come back in January, something like that, in Japan and fight each other. But it's a little bit murky now for me. I know we already spoke about it, but perhaps you can give your final word on that subject.
Yeah, the thing that does confuse me is that, again, the timing and things seemed a little bit optimistic anyway. And then with when the Stamp injury happened, I thought, okay, this fight might not happen because they're going to need Rodtang on Denver. But then we get the news he's going to be in Atlanta. You did say that there was talks of him being on Denver, and that hasn't happened. Does the Atlanta card need him with all of those title fights? I don't know. It probably does. But then in that case, the Japan card was never going to be an option. So it just always seemed to be like the timing was going to be difficult to make it happen. It seemed like you needed Rodtang to be in 3 or 4 places at once in the space of a couple of months. So I'm still optimistic that we are going to get it at some point early next year. I understand, though, the frustration when you think we could have had Takeru and Rodtang, and instead we've got 2 fights that you would imagine both of them will come through. Not necessarily easily, but they're also not the toughest fights out there for either guy. So it's a bit of a frustrating scenario. I feel like it's just a bit unfortunate also. So I'm not being maybe as harsh as some other people, but I understand at the same time, both sides.
All right. Well, maybe we'll leave it there. I'm pretty tired. It's coming on midnight here, and I've been going all day, so I'll try and jump back on tomorrow after the weigh-ins if people would like to do that. That could be fun. We'll see though, because it depends what happens. If all hell breaks loose, I may be too busy. If there's like 10 people missing. Hopefully not too much drama, just enough drama to make it intriguing. But yeah, that is it. Thanks, Kyle. Anything coming up for you you want to promote to these lovely people?
Fine, I might be putting out another video on my channel now that
Yeah.
I put the one video out and then we get more fights announced. So this might be like the busiest week in the history of my YouTube channel, which usually I dedicate about half hour every week to. So we'll see. I might be doing that, but it is also really hot in the UK right now. And so being in this room is like being in a sauna. So if I can avoid being in here much longer, I will.
Yeah, well, we better wrap this up then. Yeah, you can get out of the room. Yeah, I'll try and do tomorrow. We'll see, guys. But if not, I'm not sure when we'll do this again. But thanks, Kyle. Maybe something on Saturday after the show. I've been toying with that idea too. If that would interest you, all leave comments. If you want me to do more of these shows in a bit more of a timely manner, fashion, whatever, after the events, like a recap, things like that. If I can, I will. But it's going to be busy either way. All right, we'll leave it there. Thanks, Kyle. Thanks again. And thank you all for watching, commenting. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And stay tuned for Sportskeeda MMA Originals. Be back in action as soon as possible. I'll see you all next time.